How long should you work out? Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. I'm going to tell people that it's going to be dependent on a number of factors, but generally speaking, if you are lifting weights for the purpose of gaining muscle mass, okay? If we're trying to gain muscle mass, I'm going to say going over about 45 minutes to an hour in the gym is probably useless for gaining muscle. And I want to be clear when I state that. I'm not saying there can't be other benefits. I'm not saying even doing jump volume doesn't help some people psychologically, because it clearly does. Some people benefit from it. A lot of people benefit from the conditioning in. They need it for conditioning purposes or using it to burn through calories. All of that's well and good, okay? Those are legitimate uses of your training time. However, if we are in the gym and lifting weights because we're like, look, I want to gain muscle, I want to gain strength, you're looking for positive tissue adaptations in your muscle tissue, right? That is the purpose you are using it for. I'm going to put a cap in that 45 to 60 minute range. And I'll go so far as to say that I've seen people have 30 and 40 minute workouts and do nothing more, who got phenomenal results because they trained really, really, really hard. Okay, and this comes down to that basic philosophy of how hard are you training, that volume versus intensity debate. But people on some of the extreme ends of the intensity side don't even train that much, and that's the point I want to make. There's a lot of people who their workouts are less than 45 minutes consistently. They're less than 45 minutes consistently. Okay? And they get phenomenal results. And I'm talking big, strong, jacked people. But how hard are they training? They are training super hard. Like their sets are to failure. There's all sorts of extended sets. Right? They're coming in, and every single set that they are doing is all the way to the bleeding edge. Okay? And when people train that way, sometimes some 30 and 35 minute workouts can be brutally effective. Okay? They can be brutally effective. So that's what we're looking at there. But then on the other extreme, I'm going to say, if we are able to train consistently and beyond an hour, you probably are not gaining anything from it in terms of muscle growth, because you are simply unable to maintain performance that long. You are probably not working any of the upper threshold muscle fibers, right? That's not what's happening. You're not working those things effectively, okay? And accordingly, because you're not working them effectively, you're just not gaining any significant muscle because they're too fatigued at that point. Or you've held back so long, if you're still recruiting anything or making adaptations, it's because you really and truly goofed off the first 30 minutes. And you can get away with it. Now, can there be other exceptions? Okay? Can there be other exceptions? Can there be big exceptions to that? Yeah, I think the answer is yes. I think there can be. There can absolutely be exceptions. Maybe people who are going really heavy and taking super long breaks. Okay, so let's say someone is coming in and they're going to squat or bench press for an hour and a half, but they're taking 10 minutes between sets. Right? They're doing 3 reps every 10 minutes or something like that, but they are going heavy. Could those people maybe benefit? Okay, yes, absolutely. In that context, those people can benefit. But that's kind of an exception. They're doing something a little bit different. But if we're going to discuss those things, we need to discuss those exceptions to the rules. But if you were taking reasonable times, 2 to 4 minutes between sets, you were training hard, you're probably not going to see a lot beyond that, mainly because, again, at a certain point, performance just degrades. We're not really getting into any of the deep fibers anymore. And then we're just burning calories. We're working intermediate fibers. So again, context dependent. So when I'm giving this general rule, and I'm going to kind of go through all of it again, I am stating that for people who are training pretty dang hard, pretty dang efficiently, maybe they're not training as hard as humanly possible. Okay, they're not going a full 100% all balls to the wall. Okay, because those could be down as low as 30 minutes. Okay, those people, probably in that 45 minute up to about 60 minutes. I'd say 40 to 60 minutes. That's probably going to be your sweet spot. That is where you're going to gain most of the muscle. Your volume is probably sufficient to maximize growth. Your intensities can be high enough to get away with it. And then, when you're going beyond that, it is probably turning into junk volume. Okay? That's who I'm talking about. So most people, again, your outliers, your exceptions, going to be obviously the people who are training literally going 100%. Okay, intense sets to failure, possible intensity techniques, drop sets, forced reps, rest pause, things like that. Those things, those tools. Okay, you can get away with less and probably make 100% of your gains. Right? You're going to have the people who are taking super long breaks because they're doing big, heavy movements and they're working a lot of skill work to go with the size. Because they're still going to gain good size. I mean, you do 15 triples with a heavy lift at 85-90% of a big barbell lift. Okay, you're gonna gain a lot of size from it. You're going to flat out. You're also probably going to get pretty strong. But that is a very big time commitment per workout. Okay, it's a massive time commitment. And I've done some of that. I've done stuff like that on deadlifts. I've done stuff like that on squats and made great progress doing it. Okay, made great progress doing it. Okay, your other end then is going to be who could possibly benefit, be the people who are just training really lazy. Their early sets are almost warm-up sets all the way through. Okay, those people need that volume because they're just not training hard, and that's the only way they can still make the progress. And that's for people who they do not want to train hard. They just don't, so they'll just do the volume. Can they still get good stimulus and get jacked? Sure, absolutely. Wouldn't be my first choice because then the time commitment. So you have those people. But then what do we talk about the other benefits? Conditioning and fat loss. Okay, so people who are essentially using lifting as high intensity cardio. Okay, a lot of athletes do that. They do it as GPP work. A lot of CrossFit's based on that. I've had a couple clients who do this from certain athletic backgrounds. Okay, we do that. They use it for conditioning. They use it to build up all that work capacity. Keeping in mind, they're not gaining muscle from it at that point. But they are getting conditioning. And then ultimately also people using it as cardio for fat loss. Because all the research shows us that lifting weights is just as good as cardio for fat loss. So if a person is coming in and treating their lifting as cardio, it's pretty muscle protective, right? So we're doing resistance training. So if they're trying to maximize body composition while using it as cardio, it's actually quite effective. It can be, again, an extremely effective technique as long as they can recover from it. And that's going to depend on genetics, work capacity, and a whole lot of other stuff. So again, these are the exceptions to the rule that I gave. So hopefully that clarified it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys and gals next time.